I thought that right when his he hurt his knee and he found out that was a torn ACL. I think that there was probably internally some devastation through him, but he never really showed it externally. And I compare it kind of when he broke his ankle in the Michigan game and he's getting carted off the field, and you can't really tell. He doesn't really show a lot of emotion in that way through devastation. But I think that he came to grips with it. He's a very religious young man and believes everything's happened for a reason. And his role with our team was he was the unquestioned leader, no questions. And so even though he wasn't going to be a part of it on the playing field, he still, I think, felt like he could be a part of the team and lead however he could. And so he was the only one allowed to talk in the locker room other than the head coach at pregame and halftime, and would be coaching up our backup, which was now the starter. He'd be coaching him up on the sidelines. He wore a headset similar to what he's doing now, and would really help with play calls. I mean, he would come over and say, "Hey, Coach Bindel, I see some of this. This is some of the stuff that they're doing. I really think we could take advantage of this and this," and he'd be right, which was great to have. And we turned into more of a run team, and his best friend was a receiver at the time, so his best friend would get a little frustrated because we didn't throw it as much just because we didn't have JT, and so he would help keep him calm and really keep the spirits up of all offense and defense. It was awesome.
Why, based on what you know about JT, will he be fine now?
Well, I think that he's shown his determination to overcome an injury. I mean, his first season to play football after a torn ACL is off 2 years, and he's a freshman All-American. And so he's more than anything, his leadership and his willingness to prepare. I think those two aspects is what's going to keep him constantly improving and being able to shine.
Were you ever blown away by what happened this year? I know that you've seen him do great things.
Sure.
You've been around, but to the
Yes.
extent of what happened, how remarkable is that, and were you even surprised?
Well, I would like to say I wasn't surprised and I expected it, but I will say the Michigan State game, as well as he was playing and some of the throws that he had in the Michigan State game, I was really taken back. I mean, it was very proud, but I was just like, golly, he's gotten even better since he left here, and that was his top game. He had a few long runs that really surprised a lot of people, and they didn't know he could run. He did that all the time here. And so we were kind of waiting, when's he going to start breaking these long runs off? And he started to near the end of the season. I think he got more comfortable being able to run the ball. Maybe his knee felt a little better. But just his progress, especially as a passer, and he was a phenomenal one here, but some of the throws, especially against Michigan State, I was very, very impressive. So.
Yeah, a lot of people, you mentioned the running thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Ohio State had a very talented runner the last few years before him.
Yes.
So I think part of that was overcoming what they became
Yes.
familiar with Braxton. From an athletic standpoint, how athletic was JT in comparison to a lot of the kids that you coached? And, is that unfair maybe to say that he's not, or for some people to believe that he's not as athletic or not athletic enough to be this? I mean, that was the notion at first.
Well, I mean, JT is not Braxton Miller. JT and I would talk, just when he was redshirting, we would talk about how ridiculous Braxton is. I mean, Braxton as a runner, and I love JT, but Braxton as a runner is unbelievable. I mean, he would make there's some moves that he would make and that I don't know if anybody can replicate in the nation, much less JT. And so JT is extremely athletic. He's the best athlete I've ever coached because he can play quarterback. He played receiver for us as a sophomore when he wasn't playing quarterback. He also played some defense, and so when he was a freshman, and so he's a great athlete. But I think more than anything, what made him stand out was just his leadership and command of the game. I mean, as a sophomore, he was voted as a captain. That doesn't happen just with anybody, and so especially in Texas. I mean, in Texas high school football, you kind of got to earn your dues, and he was there from sophomore on, and so he's. I think he and Braxton are different. Obviously, Braxton is a ridiculous athlete, but JT can do some things that Braxton can't do, and vice versa. So he doesn't have to be anybody but himself, and I think he's a really great quarterback.